This week, the salvage squad have come to the heart of London, to the hidden backwaters of the mighty River Thames.
We're up the creek, the Deptford Creek in fact, and we're here to find one of London's great unsung heroes, the fireboat Massey Shaw. Now she may not look like much, but if it wasn't for her, all the yuppies of London would be homeless, because all those lovely dockland warehouses would have burnt down years ago.
For 35 years, the Massey Shaw was the pride of the river, fighting thousands of fires up and down the Thames. But now, this grand old lady lies stranded up a muddy creek. That's why we've come to Deptford to retrieve her from the mud and meet ex-fireman Phil Ray, who saved her from a watery grave.
Phil Ray.
How do you do?
Very good.
It all started when Phil stepped onto the Woolwich ferry one day in 1971. He had no idea that his life was about to change forever.
And there he was with a great canvas awning over her, moored alongside the Woolwich ferry, looking very forlorn and lost. And I thought it was very sad. I was disgusted at the state of her. She was dumped there and left there as an afterthought, and obviously not going to be anything done with her.
Phil's been in love with boats since he was a kid. So when he saw her, whatever the difficulties, he was going to save her.
I like a good challenge. I'm one of these people to get my teeth into a thing. I keep going. I don't take no for an answer, I'm afraid. I've always been like that. And I certainly would have fought hard and long and hard for her.
And against all the odds, over the last 25 years, Phil and his mates in the Massey Shaw Trust have fought to save her from the scrapyard.
A number of people that said, no, you won't do it, we wouldn't be able to do it. But we've managed to do it for the last 20-odd years, and we will keep going as long as we can.
It's taken all their efforts just to keep this 70-year-old lady's head above water, and that's why the salvage squad are here. We want to give them a leg up and make her queen of the river once more.
And it'd be lovely to see her coming down the Thames, yes, with the hoses
with
going
all the
and
water coming out everywhere.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take it away, Phil, and you can't see it, but when you do, hopefully,
right,
it'll be all guns blazing.
OK.
Well, I just hope I haven't made Phil a rash promise. She may not look all that bad, but despite the efforts of Phil and his mates, she needs a hell of a lot of work. So the challenge for the salvage squad, Axel, Claire and Jerry, is to restore her to her pumping prime.
There must be something down here.
Ex-fireman Axel's in his element on this one, showing the others what's what.
Oh look, there's the water cannon.
Ah, that's the branch. Nozzle. It's not a cannon.
Axe, Claire, come and have a look at these.
What size are they?
Handsome stick.
Brilliant.
The first Thames fireboats were brought in to protect the spectacularly flammable goods traded through the Port of London. Those old boats used oars and hand pumps. Steam pumps arrived in the 19th century, but the boats lacked engines. By the beginning of the last century, they could finally move themselves using steam power. But being modified from existing boats, they were never ideal for the difficult job. The Massey Shaw was the first fireboat purpose-built for the Thames. Her shallow hull allowed her to bump and scrape up the notoriously shallow creeks on the river. Her two enormous diesel engines pushed her along at 12 knots, and once at the fire, they could be switched over to run two huge turbo pumps, pumping out 3,000 gallons of Thames water per minute.
All right, let's bring you in.
Axel, Jerry and Claire have moved her from muddy Deptford Creek to a more practical location at South Dock, just upriver. And waiting there to help them is Station Officer Dave Rogers. In between fighting fires, he's been helping to keep the Massey afloat for 15 years. His knowledge and organisational skills will be vital.
That's good.
Dave, we've had a wander around looking for things to do, and one big thing was a piston not in the engine.
No, that's one of the major problems. The engine will have to be removed from the boat in order to put the piston back.
The whole thing? Are you absolutely sure?
Indeed. It's just going to have to come out, I'm afraid.
Bit of a big job. What else would you like to do?
Right, well, where you've got your hand, in fact, is a useful starting point. The fire pumps, the valves themselves, which open and shut, are not working properly. The other thing, we work on a telegraph system.
Ah, yes.
Indeed. As you can hear, or not hear as the case may be, the chains are rattling, but there should be a nice little bell sound there.
I like this one.
That's it, because we need to be able to hear the call from the wheelhouse.
Like 2 baked bean cans, a bit of string.
No, I don't think that's going to be quite the thing that we really need.
They're so great, we've got to have them working.
I noticed the wood around the outside of the boat.
The rubbing straits.
That's it.
Yes, we do occasionally bump into things, and the idea of the timber is to protect the metalwork of the hull.
Right.
There's a lot of timber there, it's rotten, will need to be torn out and some new pieces put in.
Are we about there? Is there any more?
But there's lots more to do, but I think those main tasks I think will keep us busy for some time.
Right.
So,
Build it then.
Okay.
The first task is to crane out one of the two 6-ton engines and fix it. Then the giant valves that control the pump water have to be repaired. The telegraph system that communicates between the driver and the engine room needs investigation. And finally, the massive timber bumpers on the outside will need to be replaced. If we succeed, she'll look as good as she did the day she was launched in 1935. Nothing like her had been seen on the river before.
Where circumstances demand, the water can be pumped through this huge monitor. So powerful is this jet that for the first few feet from the nozzle, the water's like a solid bar.
But she was soon to use her pumps in anger when the rubber warehouse at Colonial Wharf went up. It was the biggest fire in London for 100 years.
Just in front are the fire floats, and with them the Massey Shaw. And this is her baptism of fire, and she has been pouring water from her monitor at the rate of 4,000 gallons a minute unceasingly.
The 6-day Inferno was a real test for the brigade's new high-tech boat. Her pumping ability became legendary, turning the Massey Shaw into a hero.
Oh, what do we think?
That engine,
It's huge, isn't it?
getting that out is going to be a nightmare.
Well, it's an extra heavy lift. I mean, it's not exactly a straight lift, is it? We've got to come out to the side and then up.
There's no choice. You've got to partially strip it, get everything out of the way as much as you can,
Right.
and then just give it a go. Who's actually going to do that? Who fancies it? He said, excluding himself.
Well,
I'll give it a go.
yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
with it.
how hard can
Yeah,
it be?
come on then. Deal done.
I really fancy having a pop at the telegraph system. See if I can get it to work. It's a little bit precision.
I reckon that's the easy one.
Well,
It
okay.
is, isn't it? It is the easy
It's in or out job.
Okay, right, I'll take something else on then. I'll take the valves, because they could be difficult.
That's an idea, yeah.
Okay?
Do you fancy a bit of woodwork, Claire?
I think I'll just stick... I've got enough for the engine.
Bit of woodwork, Jerry?
You've seen my woodwork.
So I'll take that
Sing-
as me. Me hanging over the side of the boat. Nice one, guys.
Yeah.
The one good thing about marine diesel engines like this is that they can be stripped down in sections. And Claire reckons they can get at least 2 tons off the engine, leaving them with a slightly more manageable 4 tons to lift. But even the small bits are heavy enough to give the squad a good workout.
All right, yeah. Bring the butterfly. On, Terry.
You're so strong, man. Oh, bloody water.
Oh.
Steady!
Meanwhile, Phil's brought me to the London Fire Brigade Museum. I thought we'd come to find out about the boat's history, but he had a little surprise for me, because this building was once the home of the man who created the modern London fire service, Sir Massey Shaw.
So this is our man, Phil,
That's him.
Sir Massey Shaw.
So, yeah, Massey Shaw.
Why is our boat named after this gentleman?
They decided that they would name it after somebody that was important to the fire service, which was Massey Shaw. That's the man that founded the Metropolitan Fire Brigade, or nearly the fire brigade as you know it today.
He's a rather fine-looking gentleman,
He was.
and he's got some rather fancy clobber on as well.
In those days, the helmets, they were solid silver. If you were a chief officer, you got a solid silver helmet.
I don't suppose all the firemen got given those silver helmets.
No, they had a brass one. Like today, it's yellow for firemen and white for officers. But very few firemen in those days actually wore uniform. It's only through him that the uniform came in, and the hand axe and things like this.
Because he's looking pretty cool there.
He looks very smart there.
He was quite a socialite.
Oh yes, he was. He was very involved with the Prince of Wales, and the Prince of Wales got involved with the fire service
yeah.
at the time. He even had his own uniform and got involved in firefighting, had to be rescued at odd times.
But that was obviously important because he made it culturally a thing to be looked up to.
Oh, that's right. He made the fire service respected where it wasn't before.
So quite a name to live up to then. And her chance came when only 5 years after her launch, she was confronted with the greatest inferno modern London had ever seen.
Well, what I'm most interested in is the Blitz, because that's got to be the biggest fire that Massey Shaw ever had to deal with.
Well, there's some pictures of the Blitz.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly a lot of devastation and fire. Now, this article was written by a chap called Cyril Demand. It was written in 1991.
What does it say on the fly about him on there?
That he was in the fire service from 1925, so he's certainly...
he'd be 97 now.
I wonder if he is still alive.
Well, I'm sure the welfare service will help you find him. They'll have records of him.
The welfare service?
The London Fire Brigade welfare service, yes.
Well, that would be fantastic if we could find him, someone who actually saw the Massey Shaw in service during the Blitz.
Meanwhile, down in the engine room, all seems well. But Axel's worried.
Claire,
Yeah?
Jerry, I was thinking, this is about 6 tons, yeah? We're going to strip it down, it's going to leave us about 4.5 tons. That has to be lifted out of here, which gives us a 6-ton deficit over here.
The boat's going to...
Yes,
It's going to move, isn't it? It's going to lift.
We're going to tip, aren't we?
She's going to roll.
I think we should get some ballast in it at some point.
Good idea.
Barrels of water or something. Something like that.
He's got a real concern that if we take one engine out, then 6 tons of the other engine will overbalance the boat. It's a real problem. The Massey Shaw could roll right over, even sink.
Let's pass that up.
It's up to you.
There we go.
The solution, we hope, is to fill these huge drums with water, making each weigh 1/3 of a ton. This should replace the missing weight when the engine is removed.
There we go, I'll go and get some more.
But exactly how much water to use is anyone's guess.
That's those.
If Phil could see her now, he'd be having kittens.
I'd love to see what she looks like at the moment, but I've been told I mustn't have a look. The temptation has been there. I have to confess.
Phil's very proud of his work on the Massey and can't wait to see her again.
Oh, the Massey Shaw has been, certainly helped me. It's been fantastic when you see her in full working order and actually moving up the Thames. To see her actually with the water coming out of a main monitor and pumping 30 tons a minute is a fantastic sight. And it's going to be a good thing when all this work's done, how it's going to improve the vessel.
But there's one part of the job that's making Phil especially nervous.
Well, he's getting a 5-ton engine out of a little hole on the deck.
Yes, we've been worrying about that too. Now we've rolled out the barrels, she's leaning like an old drunk, and she's very unstable. When the engine comes out, the weight of the barrel should leave her on an even keel. But for the moment, she's very unbalanced and in danger of rolling over and sinking. The salvage squad are restoring London's most famous fireboat, the Massey Shaw.
You've got that. Nick.
The first task is to squeeze 4 tons of sick engine through a tight gap in the deck.
We wanted that one shorter, didn't we? This
the
is
back
short one.
shorter.
That's the long one.
But there's a risk that this could unbalance the boat. So the squad have used huge barrels of water as a counterweight. At the moment, she's leaning over like a drunk old lady. And as the engine comes out, it's the moment of truth.
Okay, everyone happy then?
Yeah, mate.
No, don't lift yet.
I'm just going to let the oil drain out then for a moment and then we'll carry on.
Go on, keep going.
Right, the critical point is when it gets above the deck and that's going to be free swinging. Okay, be careful.
As the crane takes the strain, hooray, the boat rights herself.
Yes, well done. Yeah.
Luckily for us, the ballasting was spot on.
Well done the crane, mate, thank you. It's looking good. Yes, great.
Waiting to help with our engine is Ian Hale, a man who knows the Massey's engines inside and out. Using a container as a makeshift workshop, Ian, Axel and Claire begin the job of stripping down the 70-year-old engine. And they're finding some very odd bits that were definitely not there when the engine was built.
Perishing socket.
We've got the engine, nice one.
Right, there used to be a tinkling sound, that might be what it is.
But the Massey's marine engine just doesn't want to come apart.
It will come off.
one right down here as well.
No.
Down in the empty engine room of the Massey Shaw, Jerry starts the next task, repairing the pump valves. The two huge pumps suck the river water in and then pump it out through the gigantic cannon or through the hoses. Controlling the flow of water are huge valves, but these critical parts have been mysteriously breaking, so Jerry wants a closer look. When he finally gets it apart, he can't find anything wrong.
All I can see is gate valve.
Gate valves are just a kind of tap. The gate itself is a flat disc of metal. A threaded shaft runs right through the gate. When the wheel on the top of the shaft is turned, the gate travels up and down the thread just like a nut going up and down a bolt. This blocks or unblocks the water flow like a giant tap. There are 13 of these mammoth valves, each weighing well over 100 pounds, and they haven't been touched for years.
Nobody said it was going to be easy.
Nothing on this boat wants to come apart.
Oh, got it. Oh, yes.
Dave told us there was a problem with these valves, and I pulled every single one in the engine room, been through them, and they don't look too bad, except on closer inspection. The thread here doesn't look too bad, does it? Nice and square, good and solid. Okay, it's a bit manky at the end, but look at this. Complete section's broken off, and I reckon if I whack this with a hammer, the whole lot will fall away. This isn't metal anymore. Most likely corrosion caused by seawater. See, it's absolutely beggared. And I promise you, I'm not cheating. If I hit the rest of it, nothing happens.
The corrosion has been weakening the screw thread, causing them to snap unexpectedly. The only solution is for Jerry to make a brand new shaft. It's the end of a long, hard day, and the engine is a mass of very grubby bits. But at least Claire's found the problem. It's with the bearings where the pistons connect onto the crank. Some of the bearings have worn away, which is what's causing the engine to seize up.
Well, the engine's in a lot more bits than it was when you last
better put
saw
one
it.
down for Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're winning, Joe.
Well, apart from the bearings, that's what we found.
Oh, wow, right.
This is the best one.
Yeah, there's plenty of white metal on that, but that thing is absolutely through to the copper. I'm really quite scored. It's right the way through to the copper.
The bearings allow parts to move freely against each other inside the engine. The damage to our engine has been caused by the special lining in the bearings being scuffed away. And all 16 bearings are looking pretty rough. Claire will have to remake each one individually.
So we're going to need a new set.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, new set.
Is that bad?
It's bad.
You can't just buy them off the shelf. You have to have them specially made. So, but there's a man out there who can do it.
All right.
I'll find him.
We'll have one of these.
Cheers.
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 Hard work, but bloody good.
Would worth it, mate.
While the squad were relaxing, I'd contacted the Fire Service Welfare Office, and they told me that our 97-year-old fireman, Cyril Deman, is still alive and well and in a little village just north of London. He's written a book on his experience of fighting the horrific fires during the Blitz, and I'm hoping he can tell me just what part the Massey Shaw had to play during those terrible times. Cyril, do you think the Massey Shaw is worth preserving?
Oh, most definitely. Like the many unsung heroes, she took a very prominent part in the London Blitz.
There was a really big fire at St Paul's during the Blitz. Was the Massey Shaw involved in that?
Well, she was there pumping water, and it was the 29th of December 1940. And it was a cold, miserable day, drizzly, and between 5 and 6 o'clock in the evening, the warning sounded, and the bombers came over.
It was the beginning of what became known as the City Blitz, a devastating attack on central London.
And very soon, all the local fire stations were empty of their fire appliances, and the fires were spreading particularly around St Paul's.
The explosive and incendiary bombs rained down, starting hundreds of fires and shattering the water mains with devastating consequences.
There's nothing more infuriating to a fireman working on a big job to see this wonderful jet that he's got under his nose suddenly go, oh, and then finish.
Down below there. Oh, what the hell? Johnny! What's the matter with this water?
If anything was calculated to produce a flow of harsh language, that was it. And that's why we relied so much on the fireboats.
With no water, the flames lapped ever closer to St Paul's. The situation was desperate.
Johnny! She's finished!
There was only one source of water, the Thames. It was the Massey Shaw's moment. If she could just pump the precious water ashore to the waiting firefighters, they might have a chance.
But the Thames was at an abnormally low tide. To get their hose pipes to the shore, the crew had to get over the side onto the bed of the Thames, thick mud, drag their fire hose into the banks, hand them over and start pumping the water up to wherever it was required.
Finally, the Massey's gigantic turbine pumps began to deliver the precious water.
She could deliver 3,000 gallons of water a minute, taken from the river. Well, that would make about 20 good firefighting jets, and so it was absolutely vital.
With her engines pumping at full tilt, more than 3,000 gallons of water a minute roared ashore through her hoses. And ever so slowly, they began to beat back the flames. But it was very, very close. So what do you think would have happened to St Paul's if the Massey Shaw hadn't been there?
If we'd been lacking the water that the Massey Shaw and the other fireboats had been able to provide, who knows?
Meanwhile, Claire's hoping she's tracked down the expertise to remake our sick engine's bearings. An expert, Colin Thornton, has agreed to show her the ropes.
I've got the bearings here from the Massey Shaw, and I mean, I'm not an expert on this,
no.
but they're looking very thin to me.
Yeah, what you've got here is a bronze backing and a white metal layer on the front.
Right, so the shaft is actually worn away.
The shaft was worn some of it away, and just put in fresh material.
And then build it back up.
Build it back up again. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the first stage?
The bearings come in two halves, and the critical part is a layer of tin alloy called white metal. Our white metal is knackered. Now, 70 years ago, hand making a repair would have been easy. Today, the skill is almost lost.
Yeah, well, it is. They gently melt the surface.
The first thing to do is melt away the remains of the old white metal from the bearing's bronze body.
It goes pretty quick once it starts to go. Most of the white metal's now gone.
Next, the bearings are dipped into molten tin to make the white metal coating stick. But molten tin is a dangerous thing.
This may splash a little bit.
Okay.
Warm your tools up first.
If we just sort of throw it in cold?
There'd be a big bang.
There would be a big bang.
Lots of splashes and bangs.
Right. Can I have a go?
Yeah, of course you can. Yes.
Preheat all the tools.
That's it, just put them in.
Yeah. If I drop it, I'm not going in after it, I'm afraid.
No, we'll get out one way or another.
And that's just liquid metal in there?
That's molten metal.
Molten metal.
That's it. You just leave it there for a few seconds.
Oh, I feel like a witch.
Just tin off it. That was easy, wasn't it?
Now we're finally ready to coat the bearing with fresh white metal.
Keeping out your way.
You keep out my way, you'll be very wise to do that.
The pouring is critical and it needs a good stir. If it's full of gas bubbles or doesn't stick, the bearing will break up and wreck the engine again.
And that's just one for us.
That's just one.
We've got another 15 of these to go.
You've got another 15 to go, yeah.
Now I've got the bearings completely recovered in white metal, and now I've just got to take them off to get them made to measure for our engine.
Phil's visiting Fire Brigade Pier at Lambeth. Banned from his beloved boat, this is as close as he can get.
It's her home port where she was when she first came into service, and I think it'd be nice for her to come back here and be moored here permanently.
In Phil's eyes, the modern fireboats simply don't compare with the Massey Shaw.
They look like puddle jumpers to me, compared with the Massey Shaw. They look more like landing craft, actually. Wouldn't have thought they would last the length of time the Massey Shaw has.
He's just itching to get back on board.
I have been quite willing to sneak down and have a look, and David said, no, you mustn't, so I haven't been able to see her. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing her come back upriver.
There's still a long way to go before that happens. Jerry's only just got round to making a new shaft for the Massey's broken pump valves. It's a tricky job, and he knows it.
This is our gate valve shaft, and it's completely knackered. And it's fallen upon me to make a new one, which is going to be a real pig of a job.
Making a complex part like this takes hours, and is what sorts out the men from the boys in the turning business.
Oh. 100 quid to the bronze, and I yanked the wrong lever. Simple as that. And look. And I've just knackered it.
Well, there's no fixing that. He'll just have to start all over again.
Oh well, here we go again.
To succeed, you make another one that works. Nothing on this boat's light. That's great. The finishing touch. Right. Does it work? Yes! Look at that.
Well, that's one task down. And out on the dockside, Axel's recruited expert shipwright Julian Kingston to help with his next task, replacing the Massey's rotten timber rubbing strakes. These act as the ship's bumpers, and they're looking pretty sorry for themselves. They need to bend oak planks 4 inches thick around the Massey's curves. And oak's not famous for being bendy, but Julian has a plan. Steam it.
What the steaming process does is it softens the wood to a point where it really is quite surprising. It's more like a large lump of rubber.
Right.
And then the theory is that you can clamp it into position, and once it's cooled, it'll hold that shape.
Before they can bend anything, Axel's got to tear out the old strakes. But like everything else on this boat, they just don't want to go.
Oh! Look, even the bar's bending. That's not a tool. This is a tool.
While Axel grapples with the old timber, Julian's preparing a new piece of oak ready to be steamed.
I will not be beaten!
Julian's plan is to seal this thick piece of oak in the ducting and fill it with steam.
This is the so-called steamer, yes. Piece of industrial ducting. Works wonders.
He's confident that in a couple of hours this stiff oak will be soft enough to bend around the steep curve at the front of the boat.
Looking good. Slow up, Wood.
Now all they have to do is insulate it. Otherwise the steam will cool on its way through the duct. And one end of the plank will get steamed and bendy, but the other end will just get warm and wet.
Gas log 5? 2 hours?
Indeed. Time for a cup of tea, I think.
Never had a better word.
According to Julian, a couple of hours in this magic ducting and we'll be laughing. Well, I certainly am.
Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
Hi,
How you
Sads.
doing?
You all right? Yeah, mate.
What's with the big sausage maker on the jetty there?
That's lunch, mate. Now what it is, the steaming the plank we're going to put on.
After about 2 hours, when it's sort of pickled right through, it'll come out like rubber, we hope.
You wouldn't be able to bend it otherwise, obviously.
No, you couldn't. No.
It does look like top-of-the-range technology, that.
Oh,
the
absolutely,
towels.
yes. Really cutting edge.
Is there anything you need me to do? Don't hesitate.
I'd like a hand with the telegraph, please.
What, the crossword?
No, the ding-ding bit. I shall show you.
Come on then, Jerry.
Okay.
Oh, I'll go fishing now.
Me and Jerry are going to fix the telegraph. That's the communication system between the engine room and the wheelhouse. It's a system of bells to attract attention and indicators to tell the engineer what to do. Backwards, forwards, stop, and so on. And it's all linked by wires.
Right, Suggs. Telegraphs. You move this lever here. The engineer in the engine room hears you. Hopefully responds by moving his lever. And this little lever comes round here, tells you that he's heard, and then hopefully he'll do something with the pumps or the engine that you've asked him to do.
Why not shout that to him, Jerry?
Got 2 dirty great big Glennifer diesels giving it bom 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 bom. He's going to hear nothing in there, so he needs a loud indication with the bell and a visual indication with the lever.
Jesus, I wouldn't fancy being down here crossing the English Channel. All right, Jerry.
Okay, Suggs, I'm going to start with port side engine on the left there.
Go on. That's working lovely, that one.
Respond, please. Okay, bell's good here. Next, other side.
Yeah, that sounds fine as well.
Tight or sloppy?
A little bit loose, yeah, a little bit rattly.
Right, same here. To the pumps now.
No, that one, nothing. No bells, nothing. No, it is moving.
Oh well, it's not the first time Jerry's dropped a clanger.
6.
Meanwhile, Claire's tracked down machining expert Colin Dinsdale.
9, 7, 6.
Hopefully what we'll end up with is a really nice, good fit.
Yes,
But with the bearings and the crankshaft.
that's right. And it will be over there, and you'll have a minimal clearance there, just to take a bit of oil, but the white metal will take the thrust.
Mm-hmm.
There you are, you can...
Each of our 16 bearings must be individually tailored to the Massey's crankshaft by trimming the white metal to within thousandths of an inch.
Right then, Colin. Should we go and rig these up so we can actually start machining off
Yes, sure.
the excess metal?
Yes, we will.
So when we've trimmed that up, it'll sit beautifully, hopefully, on the crankshaft.
That's right, that's it.
That's what we're aiming for.
That's it.
The slightest error and there'll be scrap. With the bearing precisely mounted, the cutting tool moves down it, transforming it from a rough piece of metal into a beautifully machined part, ready to go back in the Massey's engine.
These blankets off.
Back on the dock, it's the moment of truth for Julian's contraption. 2 hours in the steamer should have transformed the stiff oak into a bendy plank that will fit round the Massey's curves. But every moment it's out in the air, the plank's getting stiffer again. Speed now is essential.
Keep them going.
Yeah, keep
them going.
Right, let's go. That's it. Down, back end down a bit. Just pull the rope in. That's it.
That's it.
Over there.
That's it. That's better. We've got it.
Right,
That's it.
gently.
Should go.
This is going.
It's going, huh?
I'm going as well.
Hold the boat.
Yeah.
Push.
Let's go. Undo it. One of them. Hold on. That's it. We're going. Lovely.
That's good. That's good.
Lovely.
It's looking good.
The thick oak has bent beautifully, restoring the graceful curves to the Massey's bow.
Good stuff.
I really didn't think it was going to bend that far.
I didn't know.
No.
Especially this last bit. That was excellent. Really good.
And it's gone in sweet as anything.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, the two of you. Good job. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
Well
Good
done.
one.
Well,
While all that's been going on, Jerry's still fiddling around with the telegraph, but he's confident. And Claire's finally got her bearings. All she's got to do now is put the 6-ton engine back together.
Well, here's our brand new white metal bearings, machined to fit, and back at the engine. So they're going to hold the crankshaft in position, and the secret is they're not too tight, so that it's not going to bind up. And there we go, just these two to fit, and we're nearly ready to put the engine back in the boat. It's pretty scary putting the engine back in the boat. I'm not really looking forward to it. It was scary taking it out, and it'll be scary putting it back.
Axel! Yeah. All the way to standby and then back to 110, please.
Got it!
110?
Yeah, 110. Brilliant, mate.
That'll do. We're away.
With the new bearings in place, the crank is slipped gently into the engine.
Getting there slowly, inch by inch.
And the cylinder block can be dropped back on. It lines up better than anyone had hoped.
Well, I just don't know what to say. Oh, I'm amazed. That is... I don't believe that.
Sail straight in.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Just the last few things we've got to do. We've just got to get it back on the high-ab, round to the boat, onto the crane, and once it's back and it's home, it's going to be so good.
Frustrated sailor Phil is down at St Catherine's dock. It's the first time in 30 years that he's been deprived of his pride and joy.
To see her now would be fantastic, to see her completely restored, with her engine repaired and the rubbing straights on. It would look really good.
Not knowing how we're getting on, Phil's anxieties are starting to boil over.
We've all got worries. I hope you've got a good crane driver and he's capable of driving the crane and getting the engine in a very small hole on the deck of the Massey Shaw. She could split the decks, she could re-damage the engine after all the work's done. You have to pick a good day and the weather has to be good, or you could have a lot of problems.
And Phil's not the only one worrying about that. 4 tons of engine swinging about can do a lot of damage. If it slips now, the engine will crash right through the bottom of the boat and sink it. Whoa! Inch by inch, the massive engine eases through the hatch.
Hold on. Down very slowly.
Right, hold on, Ian. That's right, go on.
To force the 4-ton lump back on its mounts, a bit of axle power is called for.
Yes, that's it.
How are we looking, all right?
Excellent.
Yeah, we off.
Ian?
Well done.
Geezer.
Thanks for your help. Brilliant, mate.
It feels like we're almost there. Jerry's pump valves are ready, Axel's rubbing strakes are looking mighty fine, and the telegraph system's just waiting for an engine to order about. Ian and Claire haven't got a moment to spare putting the engine back together, because I've pulled off a bit of a coup. Tower Bridge have agreed to open in honour of our heroic boat. But if we're late, the bridge will stay closed. Salvage squad have almost completed a difficult restoration on the fireboat Massey Shaw. And I've got something very special lined up for her. I've persuaded Tower Bridge to open for us, and neither the squad nor Phil know anything about it. But to get there, we've got to be out on the river by midday, so it's all hands on deck. Unfortunately, things are not going so well in the engine room. Ian and Claire have been working their socks off in the engine room, but unfortunately, the engine hasn't started yet. It's 3 hours till high tide, and we have to leave then.
Hey! Would you believe it?
Don't get too excited, that's just the auxiliary engine. Our main engines are so big, they need air power to start them instead of electricity.
That's going to build up some air.
The auxiliary engine runs an air compressor that fills big tanks in the engine room with air. When there's enough pressure in the tanks, they turn an air-powered motor that spins the engine and hopefully starts it.
All right, time for the big engine, yeah?
Right, now for the big engine. which hasn't been started since we rebuilt it.
It'll be all right.
It'll be all right, yeah. Fingers crossed, legs crossed. Right, get hold of that. In the hole.
First things first. Claire needs to pump a big squirt of diesel into the dry cylinders.
About 10 should do it on each one.
Up on deck, we've got everything crossed.
Right, here we go. Right. Forward. Come on! And on.
Well, there's plenty of smoke, but no action. We tried once and failed, just waiting for the presses to build up again, and we're going to give it a second try.
We've got 2 engines, eh?
Claire and Ian aren't giving up yet.
But I reckon we've got about an hour and a half to get out in the water. If we don't get through the lock, that's it.
Kind of a bit fine, aren't we?
There's just time for one last attempt. Come on, baby. Come on. Will it go?
No.
After all that work, we're devastated. It's not often we've failed to get a machine going in time, but we still have one working engine, and that'll drive a propeller to move us. What we can't do is pump water at the same time. Well, it's been a bit of a disappointment this morning, but we can sail, and we do need to sail right now. Also, I've got an appointment with Phil Ray at Tower Bridge, and he's in for a big surprise. With only one engine, she'll drive like a brick. So we've persuaded our shipwright, Julian Kingston, to be our skipper.
Cast off forward.
At least we have one working engine, and that will have to do. She'll be slow, she'll handle like a dog, and she won't be able to pump on the move. But my big surprise just won't wait.
Here we go.
So limping out under one engine, the Massey Shaw finally returns to the Thames. It's not the ending we wanted, but it's enough for ex-fireman Axel to dust off his uniform and play the part of figurehead. All the hard work's been done on the restored engine, and it was so close to going. We were just beaten by time. Poor old Claire's inconsolable.
I'm fed up about the engine. I'm sort of a bit well, embarrassed. We did the work, we got it, we fixed what was wrong, but it's just not running. We just ran out of time at the end of the day. Happens to everybody. But it's a shame for today that it wasn't running. So, you've got to take it like a man. Make the best of it.
Really know until you get it out and have a proper look at it.
Meanwhile, Phil and I are waiting on Tower Bridge. He thinks he's just here for yet another interview. He's got no idea the Massey Shaw is just around the corner.
It'll take you a little while to get the feel of it, but
Yeah.
it's not as bad as I'm making out, really.
Yeah, but that's a bridge.
Oh, that's Tower Bridge.
Yes, exactly. I could make a name for myself here, couldn't I? Novice pilot flattens Tower Bridge.
And it's not just Phil. The squad have no idea the bridge is about to open either.
Claire!
Look at that!
Come up, quick!
Quick, quick! Look at that!
Look at this.
Yes!
Oh, mate, that's wicked. That is wicked.
How cool is that?
That is so cool. And it's for us.
There you are, one engine,
Full
flat
speed
out.
ahead.
One engine, flat out under the Tower Bridge, which is
Absolutely
lifted.
flattered.
That's amazing, that is.
Seeing the bridge go up, Phil's expecting a very large boat with a tall mast to come through.
Otherwise, it makes a nasty noise when you hit the mast on the end of the bridge. Oh, hello. It's the Massey Shaw.
What?
It's the Massey Shaw. Yeah. It's the Massey Shaw. Look at that.
That's a prize, Phil?
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
Unbelievable.
That's made my year.
It's made my life, mate. That's...
It does make me emotional when I see her.
Yeah, look at him now.
Didn't expect her to come up today, though.
Full Ray, this is
sure thank you very much.
After chomping at the bit for so long, Phil finally gets back on board.
It's like very much trying to get round there.
Come on, all aboard the Skylark.
Yes. Good to see you, Phil.
Hi, Dave.
How you doing, mate? Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Come aboard the Massey Shaw.
Well done. How nice.
Meet the gang.
To see you. Well done.
Right.
Thank you.
No.
Fantastic. Oh, it's fantastic when it goes up.
Yeah.
But what's you used to in the old engines? The old engines are in that. Is it that building or that building? One of these buildings, the old engines.
So, mate, what did you think when you first saw it coming underneath that bridge?
Oh, I didn't expect to see her there. I wasn't looking down there. I was looking up in the air. I wanted to see something large come through, and then the Massey Shaw appeared. I thought it was fantastic. Filled up a bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She's a good boat. She deserves it.
I think we ought to pump some water, mate.
Just for you.
Oh, you're going to pump some water?
First we're going to pump some champagne.
There we go.
That's it. Get the monitor going.
Just once, we really want to see her famous pumping prowess. But with only one good engine, we have to moor, as we can't move and pump at the same time.
Whoa! That's amazing. Look at that.
Sorry, I abandoned my post, but I wanted to go and play with the big boys' toys.
That was unbelievably stupid.
I don't expect it, though.